The phrase "the fall of Rome" suggests that some cataclysmic event ended the Roman Empire, which stretched from the British Isles to Egypt and Iraq. But in the end, there was no straining at the gates, no barbarian horde that dispatched the Roman Empire in one fell swoop. Find out 5 reasons why one of history's most legendary empires finally came crashing down. Invasions by barbarian tribes. The most straightforward theory for Western Rome's collapse pins the fall on a string of military losses sustained against outside forces. Rome had tangled with Germanic tribes for centuries, but by the 300s, barbarian groups like the Goths had encroached beyond the empire's borders. The Romans weathered a Germanic uprising in the late 4th century, but in 410, the Visigoth king Alaric successfully sacked the city of Rome. The empire spent the next several decades under constant threat before the Eternal City was raided again in 455, this time by the Vandals. Finally, in 476, the Germanic leader Odoacer staged a revolt and deposed Emperor Romulus Augustulus. From then on, no Roman Empire would ever again rule from a post in Italy, leading many to cite 476 as the year the Western Empire suffered its death blow. Economic troubles and over-reliance on slave labor. Even as Rome was under attack from outside forces, it was also crumbling from within, thanks to a severe financial crisis. Constant wars and overspending had significantly lightened the imperial coffers, and oppressive taxation and inflation widened the gap between rich and poor. At the same time, the empire was rocked by a labor deficit. Rome's economy depended on slaves to till its fields and work as craftsmen, and its military might had traditionally provided a fresh influx of conquered peoples to put to work. But when expansion ground to a halt in the 2nd century, Rome's supply of slaves and other war treasures began to dry up. A further blow came in the 5th century, when the Vandals claimed North Africa and began disrupting the empire's trade by prowling the Mediterranean as pirates. With its economy faltering and its commercial and agricultural production in decline, the empire began to lose its grip on Europe. The rise of the Eastern Empire. The fate of Western Rome was partially sealed in the late 3rd century, when Emperor Diocletian divided the empire into 2 halves, the Western Empire seated in the city of Milan and the Eastern Empire in Byzantium, later known as Constantinople. The division made the empire more easily governable in the short term, but over time the 2 halves drifted apart. As the gulf widened, the largely Greek-speaking Eastern Empire grew in wealth, while the Latin-speaking West descended into an economic crisis. Emperors like Constantine ensured that the city of Constantinople was fortified and well guarded. But Italy and the city of Rome, which only had symbolic value for many in the East, were left vulnerable. The Western political structure would finally disintegrate in the 5th century, but the Eastern Empire endured in some form for another 1,000 years before being overwhelmed by the Ottoman Empire in the 1400s. Overexpansion and military overspending. At its height, the Roman Empire stretched from the Atlantic Ocean to the Euphrates River in the Middle East. But its grandeur may have also been its downfall. With such a vast territory to govern, the empire faced an administrative and logistical nightmare. Even with their excellent road systems, the Romans were unable to communicate quickly or effectively enough to manage their holdings. Rome struggled to marshal enough troops and resources to defend its frontiers from local rebellions and outside attacks. And by the 2nd century, Emperor Hadrian was forced to build his famous wall in Britain just to keep the enemy at bay. As more and more funds were funneled into the military upkeep of the empire, technological advancements slowed, and Rome's civil infrastructure fell into disrepair. Government corruption and political instability. If Rome's sheer size made it difficult to govern, ineffective and inconsistent leadership only served to magnify the problem. Being the Roman emperor had always been a particularly dangerous job, but during the tumultuous 2nd and 3rd centuries it nearly became a death sentence. Civil war thrust the empire into chaos, and more than 20 men took the throne in only 75 years, usually after the murder of their predecessor. The Praetorian Guard, the emperor's bodyguards, assassinated and installed new sovereigns at will, and once even auctioned the spot off to the highest bidder. The political rot also extended to the Roman Senate, which failed to temper the excess of the emperors due to its widespread corruption and incompetence. As the situation worsened, civic pride waned and many Roman citizens lost trust in their leadership. And with that, we come to the end of this video. Thank you for watching our video on 5 reasons why Rome fell. We hope you enjoyed it. What related topic would you like us to cover next? Do leave a comment down below. We'd love to know. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you in the next one.